Program Director, good morning everyone. It is indeed a privilege to be here with His Excellency President Ramaphosa, Premier of the Western Cape, Alan Winde, Professor Madonsela, Prof. Ram Jagannath, and Nikki Newton-King, and of course Madame Fakude, as well as colleagues from government, business, the United Nations, academia, and civil society. Prof. Ram Jagannath, thank you to Stellenbosch University for creating this space where South Africa's conscience meets its economic future. And thank you very much for publicly committing Stellenbosch University to the service of South Africa. We appreciate that. Over 7 years, this summit has reminded us that justice isn't a single event. It's a journey. It takes courage, collaboration, and care. Mr. President, thank you for keeping social justice and inclusive growth at the heart of our national agenda. You remind us that building a nation isn't about policy, it's about purpose. Premier Winde, your focus on delivery and partnerships shows that growth and justice don't compete, they move together. Professor Madonsela, your work reminds us that fairness doesn't happen by chance. It takes design and determination. Madame Fakude, I've worked with you for over a decade, and you have consistently shown that business can be a force for good. So social justice doesn't just live in our courts or classrooms. It lives in our workplaces, our boardrooms, and our markets too. Across the world, we see the same truth. Inequality threatens peace. Inclusion builds progress. From climate resilience in the Pacific to community enterprise in Africa, people are proving that justice is both the foundation and the future of sustainable growth. And here at home, we know that geography still shapes destiny. The legacy of spatial inequality runs deep from communities far from opportunity to towns, disconnected from markets. Bridging these divides isn't just good planning, it's an act of justice and an investment in our shared future. At Westgrow, we believe access to opportunity is a form of justice. When trade opens new doors, that's justice. When investment reaches communities long overlooked, that's justice too. Every day in the Western Cape, we see how partnerships between government, business, and community turns intent into impact. But the work isn't done yet. Too many families still face hunger and exclusion. Too many women are still marginalized. Everyone's work, and that we must move forward fastest when we walk together. I thank you.
Thank you, Program Director, Mr. Manyathela. Your Excellency, Mr. President Cyril Ramaphosa, was already identified. It is a great privilege and honor to stand before you at this 7th Social Justice Summit, a platform that reminds us that our constitutional promise remains a work in progress. 31 years ago, we stepped into democracy with hearts full of joy and hope for a South Africa that would deliver a better life for all. Indeed, we have come a long way, making meaningful strides in building a more inclusive society. We've broadened access to education, healthcare, and essential social services. We've witnessed more women rising to leadership more young people and communities actively shaping their own futures. However, yet we must acknowledge that the journey towards a better life for all is far from over. It demands that we confront an uncomfortable truth for millions of South Africans, especially among the African majority. This promise remains painfully frustrating, out of reach for too many. The gap between opportunity and reality persists, and therefore pathways to equality, solidarity, sustainability, and climate resilience need to be supported as identified by this summit. Prof. Madonsela, we need to be resolute when it comes to delivering inclusive economic growth. We must now pursue this with equal resolve as we did for our political liberation, ensuring that every South African has the means and opportunity to thrive, to live a life of dignity, purpose, and possibility. This is certainly not the work of government alone. All of us, including those of us in the private sector, must be active partners in building a more just and inclusive society. We have both a moral obligation and a shared commitment in fostering social justice. Over many decades, Anglo-American, a signatory to the United Nations Global Compact and therefore the Sustainable Development Goals, has played an active role in the socio-economic development of our country and continent, whether through transformative partnerships in education, impactful community health initiatives, or through our award-winning enterprise development program, Zimele. We continue to invest in the future sustainability of the South African society. Our purpose of reimagining mining to improve people's lives is more than a guiding statement. It is a lived commitment to ensure that the value we create extends well beyond our operations, touching communities and advancing inclusive development. We strongly believe that meaningful progress is only possible through partnerships, and that is why we work hand in hand with like-minded stakeholders to collectively contribute to building a better South Africa for all. So, Mr. President, we understand that the path to equality, solidarity, sustainability, and climate resilience is not only a matter of justice. It is a strategic investment in our collective future. In this regard, we commend the Musa Plan for Social Justice. It is a plan that represents exactly the kind of bold, systemic, and integrated thinking we need, especially because it recognizes the wicked and stubborn interconnection between poverty and inequality, and the importance of addressing both at pace. So on behalf of our organization, Anglo-American and other partners in business, I wish to express our support to the quest to achieve social justice in South Africa, and more specifically, the Musa Plan and its holistic approach to strengthening policy frameworks, mobilizing resources, fostering social accountability, and building international partnerships. Thank you.
Sort of feel like I don't know if I need this platform, but nonetheless, Mr. President, thank you for joining us today, especially at the tail end of an exhausting international visit. It is an extraordinary thing that 30 years into our democratic transition, we should be talking of food security in a country like ours, with its richness of natural resources, exceptional agricultural and retail expertise, and abundant intellectual capital. And yet, as we know, the lived reality of the most vulnerable in our nation is that hunger is not just a daily ache. It plays a key role in systemic inequality, in societal violence, and in deepening educational deficits, amongst other challenges. Food insecurity is, though, not just about these. It goes to the very heart of social justice as one of the yet-to-be-achieved aspirations of our democratic promise. It is, of course, one thing to recognize a problem, and indeed one of the wicked problems of our time, and yet another to look constructively to solutions. We would all recognize that sustained economic growth brings with it the promise of increased employment, a deep reduction in poverty, and with that dramatically reduced levels of hunger. That growth remains elusive today, and the solutions around that are, however, not today's focus. Mr. President, Prof. Madonsela speaks of social justice not being about just us, but about just outcomes for all of us. Given the systemic, cross-cutting and urgent nature of food security, we all have roles to play in finding lasting solutions. What is needed, as we have heard a number of times already today, is a whole-of-society approach. The private sector, government, and in the context of this conference, academia, but I would also include civil society, working together in a spirit of creative collaboration and not competition. But there is a particular responsibility on those of us with relative positional levers to offer a few suggestions focused specifically on food security. As universities, we could increase partnering with peer universities here and globally, as well as with relevant private and public sector institutions to build collaborative insights and solutions to the most critical must-solve elements of food security. Prof. Ramjuganath has already commented about the need to, for instance, at Stellenbosch University, we already provide over 800,000 meals, deeply subsidized meals a year, to our 5,000 most vulnerable students. This is